the first one to talk. Okay. So how do you feel like? Okay.
I was thinking maybe.
No, not that be you, little pumpkin. Okay, good. We're gonna just raise Chanel as a single mom and raised her really in this Mary Kay world. Chanel told the stories last time of what it was like, that really it was her Mary Kay reality. You growing up and looking at Chanel now, and you look at the choices that you have as a woman right now. Okay, how important was it for you to be successful in Mary Kay? Y'all hear me? Not just be in Mary Kay, but to be successful. Not necessarily a Cadillac or a car, but to be successful in your own right in Mary Kay. How do you feel like it has impacted the woman Chanel has grown into and the choices that you have?
Well, you're not supposed
We
to
need to
say
record
that.
this. We definitely need to have somebody record this if you don't mind.
I can get through it.
Yeah, and y'all say your names because maybe not everybody knows. Okay, yeah.
I'm Toya Watson, Chanel's mom.
Yay.
I have been a director 4 times to give you hope.
Wow.
Yeah. But over a year ago, was it? Chanel said,
2 years.
okay, 2 years. I need you to become a director again. And I need you to do it in 2 months. And I love DIQ. I love it. So that wasn't an issue for me. Every time I went into DIQ, I became a director. But in 2 months was not. So I said, well, honey, I've been a director. This is your ball game. I want you to become the director. And she said, no, I want you to be my senior. So the last day of the month,
Should have been last, so not,
and I've always worked till midnight. My girls have been raised. Every car we've ever earned or directorship, we work till midnight, whether it's school night or not. They stayed up, to get that win. So they were my biggest cheerleaders. So the last day of the month, my second month in DIQ, Chanel said she'd been with me.
Gosh, this is terrible. We're terrible. We're terrible, guys. This is not what she wants.
I told Jen, I said, it's okay, her being up there, but I'm not ready to do this.
Thank you. Thank you. Go, Jen. Thank you.
And I'll hurry. But the last, it was about 10 o'clock. She said, Mom, she said, I don't want to do it. She had told me, I don't want to do it in a month. We wanted to debut on stage the 50th anniversary. She had never been to seminar, so it was important. So she said to me, Mom, I needed about 4 more, 10 o'clock till midnight, and I needed them to be qualified. And we thought my numbers, I'm an I, so my numbers were not, I thought we had it all together the night before, but of course, and I was ready to celebrate. And so anyway, she had gone home the next night, the last night, and she said, you have worked, you take that extra month. She said, you take it and I'll do it in a month, but you take that extra month. She said, you've done everything that you can possibly do. And I thought, I'm not having her wake up the next morning and not be at DIQ. So, God's bigger than me. He took care of that midnight. And I had one girl text and say, how do I get into Mary Kay? And came in full. Anyway, things started happening. And I've been in long enough to know that things can happen. And so the next morning I called her and said, get your butt out of bed, you're in DIQ. So it was important, to go back to what you asked, it was important for her that I was her senior. Now, when she became a director, we earned our cars together. I said, this is your race, now you run it. Because I'm going to cruise for a little while.
That's right. That's right. So Chanel, for you, growing up in a Mary Kay home, I mean, most everybody's heard your story that you really fought coming into Mary Kay. How do you feel that you were prepared for life because you grew up in Mary Kay? And that's what I want to ask the daughters. I don't even want the Mary Kay side of it. I want to know, growing up in a Mary Kay home, how do you feel like that you were more prepared for life?
When you made that comment a few minutes ago about Chanel may have gone through, we had done life a lot before I was 23. And so I'm going to tell you, you teach your kids to think differently because of Mary Kay. And when you teach your kids at a young age to think differently, you don't when they go through tough times, they're going to go one or two ways. And I believe that in a godly Christian home and in a Mary Kay home where you are being drilled that God is big and that you take him as your business partner no matter what you do in this life, and you always go back to him. I mean, I was prepared for a lot bigger things than I knew I was, and the struggles I was dealing with that were really, really hard. I couldn't have gotten through if I hadn't had a mom who I had seen go up and down, right? I had seen that, deal with migraines daily, and see her still get out of bed every morning and work hard because she was not going to let somebody else pay for her because of a debilitating migraine. And so the way that you teach your children, because of the powerful thought process that you're in front of all these women, it is so different. I mean, life really happens, and they have to know that that's going to happen. But when you teach them to think differently in that, I mean, they're ready for it. I mean, they're ready to go out and face those things, even when they don't realize they're ready. I didn't realize I was ready for a really long time. I didn't realize that all the things that my mom had taught me were such a big deal. I had no idea. And to go back through 4 years of depression and really having to fight for my thoughts daily, moment by moment. Y'all, my mom taught me that since I was 8, to fight for those things since I was 8. And if I hadn't been raised in that home, I just think about where I would be to have fought that depression and not know how to fight for my thoughts. I mean, it's just, you give your kids so much when you come to this kind of stuff. You just have no idea. And it may take them 23 years to figure that out, or 26, but that's the cool thing. So.
Exactly. So remember, now whether you have kids or nieces or nephews or whoever God is calling you to raise this next generation, right? That's why it is so important that you realize there's a lot more on the line by you being a woman of integrity. And that goes back to what Leah said. Be honest about what it is you want. Not because the masses are moving. What is it that you really want so you watch your kids? Yeah.
All right, my name's Deneen Bouchot, and my mom has been in Mary Kay for going on 15 years now. And, almost everything you said is very spot on. I was raised, I had a little bit different background and stuff, but I think one thing was my mom was always my spiritual leader. She was someone who anything in life, she knows me like a book, so she could call me and she could tell me, this is what, I feel like something is going on, and I feel like this is what's going on, is this right? And so she always knew, this is all before Mary Kay, so she could see the way I was acting and she would say, what's wrong? She always knew. I'm trying not to cry.
I know, but you're pretty crying, and I'm ugly crying. We always know. And I always go, gosh, that's not crying.
So I fought getting a Mary Kay for a very long time, and so before all of that, I always had big dreams, and I always had big goals in my life, and I had no idea what they were. I always felt like I was called for something really big, and the only reason I really thought that was because my mom always spoke that into me, and she's always like, you're gonna do amazing things, and you've been called for greatness. And even when she'd say, you'd be good at Mary Kay, I'd say, you're crazy. I'm never doing this. And so she always spoke into my life, even when I had no idea what I was gonna do with it. And being in school and just changing my major 5 different times, and she'd always say, whatever it is, you're gonna be amazing at it. You could be a doctor. And for a minute I attempted that, and then I saw the math class that I'd have to take. I hate science, so I was like, this isn't gonna work, so I changed it back. And so she always always believed in me, even when I had no idea what I was doing. And then the other thing was just no excuses. I mean, even as a kid, I remember I played soccer for one season. I hated it with everything inside of me. And she's like, you signed up for it. She said, you gave it a try. She said, when the season is over, you can quit, but you got to stick with it.
Yes.
And I would get so irritated. She would make me finish anything I started. Even if it was, I see so many parents who, yeah, you can quit, that's fine. It's just not their thing. Anything I signed up for that in the beginning I thought was a great idea, and I was like, what the heck I do? She's like, you gotta finish it. Yeah. You can quit when you're done with it. And that was something where in my life I had no excuses. And so I've always dealt with a little bit of getting, depression here and there, and getting into difficult places and mentally having to get out of it. And I think the biggest thing overall, Mary Kay aside, was just watching my mom and how much strength she had. And it wasn't her being harsh or like guarded or anything. She's the most open person. She's so giving. I mean, she's been Miss Go Give, and that's 100% her. And so I think seeing the strong woman she is, and then how that played into her Mary Kay business, when I came into it, I was like, if I can even be a fraction of a person that you are, I would be happy. So.
Wow.
I'm Eileen Pancake, and my mom has been in Mary Kay for 32 years.
Wow.
Started when I was a baby, and actually the reason she started was because she was really shy. She'd never speak in front of a room in front of women, and she wanted to change. And so I didn't realize growing up what she taught me, that, you know, things aren't going to always be easy, the importance of setting goals, but you work for it anyways. And so I'm forever grateful for her taking that step of faith and choosing to work for Mary Kay, because I know I would not be the person I am today because of it. And now having 3 young kids, 5 and under, the opportunity I have to invest in them and to teach them to think different. You know, my little guy is not even 3, and he knows that, you know, Mama, if he says I can't do it, say, I can and I will. And he says that, you know, that my daughter is 5 and was asking this morning, you know, she was a part of when we earned our first Chevy Cruze, that hot white Chevy Cruze, and she's all about asking about that Cadillac. And I'm like, you need to keep asking Mama about that Cadillac. So I love that they're a part of it, that they're the reason why I do this. And you know, as I shared before, I wouldn't necessarily say my mom and I had a great relationship growing up. I mean, just for various reasons, but now love that we get to do this together. That, you know, and that Kaylin was my daughter's like, Mama, when I grow up, I want to be Mary Kay, so I can do that with you. It's pretty awesome.
That's so good.
I'm Amy Kirby, and my mom was in Mary Kay when I was really little and up through about 5th grade. So I remember not that much about her Mary Kay business, to be honest, except that some of the things that came out of it were my father actually saw huge growth in my mom when she was during that season of her life. So that was, I mean, whatever, maybe 10, 12 years that she was with the company, and she growth just as in confidence and just as a woman, as leader in the small community we were in. And so I remembered that about my dad mentioning that about my mother. And so when I was brought into Mary Kay, that was one of the things that just like popped back into my head. And I thought, well, goodness, if my parents thought so much of this business, then I should be in it too. So what's interesting now, though, is looking back, I noticed that I am different than a lot of the girlfriends I have outside of Mary Kay, and I sometimes wonder, like, what is that makes me stand out? And it's exactly what you guys are saying, is that we have that mentality of just keeping going, even though there's things that stop us all the time. And so what's kind of cool now, I think, is that, I mean, I see that in myself, but my mom got out of Mary Kay and now, of course, is back on my team. And she's one of my best, best team members. But I think that because I'm in it, I'm able to bring that back to our family, where I think we kind of lost it when we got outside of the Mary Kay culture, if that makes sense, because we didn't have it in our family for quite a while. But now I think I'm bringing it back into my family, and my mom is able to bring that into other people's families in her community and whatnot. So it just keeps spreading wherever it is in your life and in your seasons.
It feels different too, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah, it feels different.